Hey everybody, my name is John Anthony Chihawk Soltetl, and today I am just John Anthony Chihawk Soltetl. Today is Martin Luther King Day, 2021. We're 2 days away from the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. And there is still a lot of things that need to be done in this world to make it a better place. I've been trying to think of an effective way to say this, and I've recorded this video several times. I do it all in one shot. I don't edit and post or anything like that. Um, Martin Luther King Day means a lot to me for a number of different reasons. I myself identify as a person of color, predominantly Mexican. I pass as white. I get that. I understand that. To a painful extent at some point in times in my life when I was bullied for not being Mexican, because I didn't appear as such. I speak Spanish. My last name legally is Chihawk. So the kids in school didn't see me as Mexican and they saw me as a threat that way, I guess. Um, and even as an adult, when I changed my name on social media, there were some people who questioned that and talked some shit about it. And but this isn't about me as it is about Dr. King, and why today means a lot to me because of those things. In fifth grade, I got to recite. I was given the privilege to recite I Have a Dream for both an assembly and for a. It wasn't an assembly because we had parents there. I believe we did two presentations for Black History Month. Memorized it, recited it verbatim, but I mean, definitely as a 10-year-old, you can't. I didn't have that goosebump inducing, that hair raising induced voice that Dr. King had. Um, I read books on Dr. King. I've done some of the marches here in town. A few years back, I decided to start doing something that I felt was more social justice oriented. And I will get to the point where social justice and justice are definitely not the same thing. And social justice warriors are not necessarily about social justice, but that's the next step. So for Martin Luther King Day in 2018, I decided to make sandwiches and take bottles of water downtown and along 4th Avenue, which is a large population of homeless here in Tucson, and hand them out because I felt like I'd already done the marches and signed petitions and things like that. It was time to do something, like actually perform an action that I felt would be within his vision. And seeing as how homeless individuals are made up of all different walks of life, all different races, gender identities, sexual orientations, religious backgrounds, nation of origin, spoken language. It's hard not to see how this population would not be in congruence with being lifted up by Dr. King. The following year in 2019, after my sister had moved back to Tucson for the first time in 2 decades, she joined me and we handed out sandwiches and food and water and bags of dog food that my dogs very generously donated, and some hygiene kits to individuals. It felt good, and it felt like something that was very much in alignment with his teachings. Last year I couldn't do it because I was battling pretty severe depression. This year, of course, the pandemic's still raging. I've been handing out bottles of water for several months now, but I think it might be a little strange for a stranger to come up to you with a sandwich during a pandemic. So I'm choosing not to do that and do something a little different this year in just telling you what this day means to me. With the climate that we deal with on a daily basis and the growing tensions, I'm concerned, but I'm also hopeful. I know individuals who just leaving their home every day puts them at risk because of the color of their skin. And so when I do something like wear this shirt, it does make me feel a little nervous. But as somebody who passes for white, I feel like it's kind of the very least I can do to be in solidarity. But also, I mean, somebody who's black or brown doesn't get that passing in plain sight. They don't get to hide in plain sight. I do. Regardless of my actual ethnicity, regardless of my gender identity, regardless of any of that other stuff, I can hide in plain sight. Dr. King, his thought process was we shouldn't have to hide in plain sight. You shouldn't have to hide in plain sight. You shouldn't fear for your safety or your job or your education by leaving your home. And you shouldn't. The things that have happened in the past few weeks have been growing for years, but have been around for centuries. And the fear that somebody is going to get to your level of privilege or your level of rights or surpass you causes fear. And that fear causes anger, which brings about hatred and then causes those individuals to suffer. Because I can't imagine the person inflicting that hatred and inflicting that suffering onto somebody else isn't also suffering in some way, shape, or form themselves. And it is a form of power and it is a form of control, but it is also suffering. Like nobody who is at peace is going to do something like that. And I like to think that if somebody is fighting to move forward and to be progressive, and the word in the progressive is progress, pro, as in for, that you are doing what you can do to better yourself. And by bettering yourself, you help better the community. And not that there's a comparison, but that's why I went to college. I wanted to be a comic book creator, which I'm doing now independently. But I felt the only way to do that was to go back to school and get a degree. And I did that. So I worked for that. And after graduating, I've never worked professionally in animation. I've never worked professionally for a studio for design or anything like that. I've always done it for myself. I started doing social work about a year after graduation. And it took from October of 2005 to May of 2017 for me to get a social work position that paid me based on not only my experience, but my worth and my degree and my willingness to work hard. It took 12 years to get there. 12 years is a long time in the span of somebody who was 28, 27 at the time when he graduated, you know? It's one of those things that takes time to do. It takes effort to do. And so if I'm just going to stand still in one lane and people on the other lanes are moving forward and they're walking past me, but I refuse to move, I'm the one at fault. I'm the one who's accountable, and I'm accountable to myself only. If other people choose to work forward and move forward and progress, however slow or however fast that is, good for them. That is a hard thing to say sometimes, because sometimes it's very hard to look at somebody else succeeding where you've tried and maybe don't know what you're doing, and so you don't succeed to their level. But good on them, because that is a hard thing to do. I fought through college. It wasn't always easy. I kind of coasted at times, but that's how it was. I still got a degree. And I fought for 12 years afterwards to get to a job that was going to pay me well. And I'm there now. And I'm making a lot of progress with my artwork. And the comparison to that is its work. And if somebody else is refusing to move forward with that, if somebody else is refusing to budge from their position and they just don't think other people should pass them who are working and who are pushing and to a vernacular grinding, just getting out there and putting in the work, then that's on them. I wish people could stop thinking that because somebody surpassed them, it means that they need to try to hold that person back. And I wish that would just propel that person to look inward and to try to be more focused on what they want or what their vision is. And if your vision is perfect the way it is and you like where you are, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't harm or wish harm on somebody else because that person's vision of where they are is not where they want to end up. And that's the idea. And that's what Martin Luther King Day means to me, is that you fight and you work for and you struggle and you fall back sometimes and you sacrifice for what matters most to you. And what should matter most to everybody is surviving and thriving. I don't know if this made any sense. Like I said, I've recorded this probably the 5th recording I've done now. But Martin Luther King Day means a lot to me because while I fail a lot to live up to his teachings and his legacy, I identify with that vision to be better and to try to help my fellow man be better. And while I don't know if I would have the discipline of Dr. King, I like to think I encompass it in different ways. So I hope today and every day moving forward that you are not just well, but that if you have a vision for moving forward for yourself and a vision for your family, for your friends, and you have hopes for a better world, that you will fight and struggle and sacrifice for that. because we can stand still or we can move forward. I'm choosing to move forward. Take care of yourselves.